You are tuned in to What Up Baltimore online radio. Please note that the views and opinions expressed on this channel are of the host and not of Lady J Media. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, What Up Baltimore TV. And if you really don't want to miss any of the shows, hit that notification bell and you'll get a message every time we come on. Now, we got it from here, so sit back, relax, and stay tuned.
The Baltimore and Maryland Amazon Workers for Justice, and also United Seniors and the Matthew Henson Community Association, and many others.
How y'all doing?
Demanding justice for George Floyd, for Breonna Taylor, for everybody killed, murdered by racist police.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the People's Power Hour, sponsored by the People's Power Assembly and the Prisoner Solidarity Committee. You can follow us on Facebook, People's Power Assembly, or sign up on our webpage, peoplespowerassembly.org. It's important to talk, but it's more important to act. We are here this evening. We're gearing up for our holiday event tomorrow. Let me tell everybody what's happening tomorrow. It is a holiday get together, and we'll be writing letters to political prisoners and our loved ones behind bars. This is a very, very important event. It is vital that the prisoners of war and also our family members know that they are loved around this time of year, all the year, but especially this time of year, because a lot of them are feeling sad and depressed, and you go through this multitude of different emotions when you're locked up. Don't ask me how I know, but that's absolutely the truth. And folks are depending on family members. You know, I know that people stand in the line, they're just waiting for their name to be called. So we want to get pumped up about this event tomorrow, Wednesday, December 21st, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Harriet Tubman Solidarity Center, 2011 North Charles Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21218. Here we go again, Wednesday, December 21st. That's tomorrow, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I will be there. Ms. Sharon will be there. Mr. Nelson, you're going to come out tomorrow?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to be there.
Absolutely. We need you there. We need everybody to come out and show some love to prisoners of war, and also here in Maryland, show some love to, even if you don't have a family member that is locked up, you may know somebody, a friend. Come on out, write a letter, show some love tomorrow. We're going to be celebrating. We're in this Christmas season, so we're celebrating love, hope, faith. Of all things, we're celebrating love. So, Mr. Nelson, you have any comments? You want to say anything about, these letters that we're going to be writing tomorrow? I need you to encourage some folks to come out tomorrow. Come to the Solidarity Center. Unmute your mic. I'm going to mute mine back. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, can you hear me okay?
Yes. If you'll speak just a little bit loud.
I thought I was unmuted.
Yes, you are. I can hear you. We can, Miss Sharon, can you hear?
Me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I have my oldest son in prison in West Virginia, in federal prison. He's been there for about 3.5 years. and I'm following also the case of not just Damascus, but also particularly the case of Mumia Abu Jamal. And so this is personal as well as philosophical for me. And I'm born and raised in Baltimore. I'm 69 years old. I'm a retired Baltimore City firefighter. And like I said just a moment ago, this is personal for me, but also it's philosophical, like Michelle Alexander with the prison industrial complex, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So my son was locked up before. He got reincarcerated about 3.5 years ago, like I said. And anyway, that is a background of me, and I hope I filled in the gaps.
Okay. So this is your son's
You want me to go on?
third or fourth Christmas and locked up?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. I can hear you. Has he ever said anything about how it makes him feel?
Yeah, he did the better part of. Yeah, he did the better part of 10 years some time ago.
Okay. All righty. So, and you know it's important to keep in contact with him all the time, but especially this time of year.
He told me.
Go ahead.
We do our best in terms of contacting. He can text me.
Oh, he's calling. He's calling now.
But the guards there at that federal prison. No. He calls me periodically. We have the ability to have communication, but it's only when he calls me. Of course, I can't call him.
Right. I'm sure. Yeah. You're not going to be able to contact him, but you're going to. Yeah. They're giving prisoners access
to. Pause. I'm not used to. Yeah.
So I thought you were talking to him now. I thought you were talking to him simultaneously.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. You don't think so? Okay. Ms. Sharon, go ahead. Tell us about
No.
Okay. Tell us how important it is to show up tomorrow so that we can. Okay. Ms. Van needs the link, Dr. J. But go ahead. Yeah. Hey, Mr. Nelson, can you do me a favor? Can you go out and come back in? So there's like a lot of static going on, and I want to be able to hear, and also the people who are listening want to be able to hear what you're saying. So, yeah, there's a bad connection or something. So if you go out and come back in, Ms. Sharon and I will keep talking. You go out and come back in. We'll reconnect.
Okay, so you're saying turn everything.
So go out, just leave the show, and then come back in. Okay.
Disconnect, and then reconnect.
And then reconnect again.
Okay, I'll try to do that.
Chad McGowan says, hello, happy holidays. How are you, Chad? Remember to write to a loved one. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Nelson. I'm going to talk to Ms. Sharon until you get back. Yep, let's get pumped. Letters to political prisoners, letters to our loved ones. Ms. Sharon, talk about how important tomorrow is on an emotional level and also a political level. Go ahead.
Well, the emotional level, I know that Mr. Nelson, Gary Nelson, was having a difficult time with his connection. But, he had put out an appeal for people to write to his son because his son's been incarcerated for over 10 years now.
Wow.
And, the emotional part of it is that people are separated from their loved ones, which I don't think is in any way helpful to people transitioning from jail back into, back into the community.
Right.
But the big thing is a lot of people, and the majority actually are unfairly locked up. And
right.
On the thing, and I see other people coming on.
Good.
But it's tragic and difficult because many people that are locked up.
I see the video. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, Mr. Nelson. Yep.
But at any rate, the emotional part is that people really, they don't have the connection with the community that's necessary and helpful. And it's a, you know, I'd say it's a tragedy, but that's one of the main reasons that we're holding the event tomorrow night, is that we don't want to forget those who are locked up.
Absolutely.
I mean, in most cases, I mean, almost all cases, as far as I'm aware of, none of the wealthy billionaires are locked behind bars. They have expensive lawyers to get them out of jail. And a lot of the crimes that they commit are legal. Whereas
Right.
people that are forced behind bars, a lot of people, it's because they're the poor working class, and for a dozen reasons that most of our listeners probably know, end up in jail and end up locked up. Or they may be, and I just want to go into this very briefly, they may be innocent, as in the case of Doria Green, who were fighting to get out of jail. But then there's also a whole series of what people call overtly political prisoners.
Right.
Which Mr. Nelson was, and maybe if he's able to get back on, he'll talk about it. Like Mumia Abu-Jamal, who was a former Black Panther Party and journalist out of Philadelphia, who was on death row, and finally, because of the People's Movement, he's been transferred into general population.
Wow.
But nevertheless, you know, I'm sure that what they're counting to do, even though there's a movement for a retrial, is that he will literally die in jail before
That's right.
free.
We don't want that.
So he is completely framed up. But there are a couple other prisoners, and what that inspired us too, people who were jailed falsely, or political prisoners, like Alex Saab, who we had a demonstration about, Ambassador Saab, I should say, from Venezuela, who really is illegally jailed and shouldn't even be in a Miami federal prison, just like the Cuban Five. And so tomorrow night, we'll talk a little bit more about his case. There's a number of other political prisoners, Filipino political prisoners. And also, I want to make sure that we highlight the case of Leonard Peltier.
Okay.
Who was another federal prisoner, indigenous prisoner, who was also innocent, and the FBI hunted him down. He was part of the American Indian movement. So we'll go into the details of those cases tomorrow on Mumia and Peltier, on Alex Saab, and they're just the tip of the iceberg. People could go to Jericho's website and find out all the number of people who are actually in jail, not because of quote unquote committing some crime, but for political reasons solely.
That's exactly right.
But nevertheless, as we started to say in the beginning, and I'm glad that Ms. Van's on because she can talk about Mr. Green.
Right.
There are just prisoners from our community that I consider political prisoners, because
right here in Maryland.
Dirty cop, or on the other hand, just there because they didn't have money, the ability to get a fancy lawyer
and make bail.
And that includes a growing number of women. So, you know, families, friends, all of us have had somebody who's been locked up, or we ourselves have been locked up. So we want to make sure that prisoners don't feel isolated. Right. So come out tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I'm going to say it again, and then we're going to hear from Ms. Van. I'm going to say it again.
We're going to have food.
Okay, absolutely. Look, Ms. Van knows all about that, and that gets people. Yeah, but we really we not only want you to come out for the food, we want you to come out because it's a holiday get together, and we're going to be writing these letters to political prisoners and our loved ones behind bars. Miss Van knows about this subject all too well. She's been writing to her husband and talking to him, and the family's been doing the same thing for years and years and years, and he is innocent, and we want to get him out. But Miss Van, I was talking to Miss Sharon about how important it is on an emotional level, and there's also that political level. We need to be in touch with our loved ones. This is a very, very hard time, even for folks who are not in jail, even you know, people who are not in jail or prison. I hear people say all the time, this is a very, very depressing time of year for me. So, you know, what I'm looking forward to tomorrow is the camaraderie, the fellowship. We're going to get together. We're going to have some food, as Ms. Sharon said, and we're going to write some letters. We're getting pumped tonight everybody. 443-297-4753. I'm gonna let Miss Van talk, but call us so that we can give you all the info, and you can join us on tomorrow. But Miss Van, go ahead and talk about how important it is and how you're keeping in touch with your husband. And Christmas is hard. You go ahead. The mic is all yours.
So for me, a lot of times it gets frustrating. It gets a little depressed. I try to keep his spirits up, try to keep mine up. So for me, I try to be working on his case, and I do a lot of reading about his case. And I'm on the computer constantly matching his case with other cases. I am seeing how many people have been wrongfully convicted in different states. Sometimes I have to walk away, and I go to the gym, I go work out, I may go, walking, just to relieve my mind, from the anxiety, me getting upset about it, because it's like I can't wrap my head around this whole thing, and I keep beating myself up. Why this and why that, and how come? Especially with 2 paid attorneys and the charges that he had. I am also following former Sergeant James Lloyd's case. I don't understand. A crime is a crime, and he committed a crime such as another Black and brown community person, man, woman. Kidnapping is a charge in itself. Robbery is another thing. That the maximum of you're giving someone 1 year versus you would have given me 10 years for just robbery. And so then you had a gun. So did it make it any different because he was an officer? And what he done, a crime is a crime.
Right.
He did unlawful behavior in office, in the law enforcement. He embarrassed himself as being sworn in under the badge.
I agree.
And so a lot of things that I have been doing, I may put things out on the internet about wrongful conviction loved ones. So a lot of people feel that it's not important to them. It may not be you that have ever been in trouble, but you have family members that have been in trouble. So it does make a difference to me that people are in incarceration for the wrong things. Doesn't mean because they are arrested that they get crime.
Yes. Good evening.
It doesn't mean because
go ahead, sis.
the crime, they're saying that the crime was committed, that they did it. The news is not set up for good information. The news has never been set up for good information. Simply as they can never get anything right. The other thing is,
Mr. Andre, mute your mic for me for a minute, okay? Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Van.
So the other thing that I have been focusing on as well, we have had loved ones, men and women that have been in prison since the 50s and 40s. What are these people? What can these people do to anyone? And we are in the 20s. They're not going to know how to cross the streets, what green means, what yellow means, what red means. Right. They're not going to know how to work a TV, what is a remote control for. So when Biden signed the bill, you said you were going to get those people out of prison. Why are they still sitting? I think there's numerous factors that just unanswered questions. And yes, I think that writing letters to, different factors like city halls, the Supreme Courts, and I was even thinking about getting a petition signed for my husband as well. And just not just for him as well. I mean, he's the big picture of it, but for people that's wrongful conviction only because Biden passed that bill that they have to be a certain age or they was locked up around this age.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
Juveniles, when a juvenile they got locked up a certain age, I know that he is releasing them.
It's not going to be that easy.
No.
I watch Killer Kids all the time. Like people who commit murders at say 14, 15, there has to be a whole like this hearing with the judge, and then family members of those victims, they show up. Dr. J is asking Mr. Nelson, are you on your cell phone or your computer? He dropped out. Okay, so he can speak to Dr. J about that. But anyway, I understand what you're saying. Now, you know, my nephew spent 24 years. And let me tell you something. It was a hard battle because his original sentence was 55 years, 10 suspended, 45. And, you know, the way things were going, it just seemed as if they were going to keep him in there. And I understand what you're saying when you talk about that anxiety, because I'm tearing up now. For 24 years, Christmas, my birthday, just every event I got, but remember back when we could send cards to the jails and prisons? We can no longer do that because people were putting black tar, heroin, doing all of these things, and then it stopped us from being able to okay, he's going to come back on his phone, and that stopped us from being able to absolutely communicate, you know, written, you know, to our loved ones. You know, I think it's just a huge deal. And I'm a card person. I go to the store and I'll get cards, and I'm going to get some tomorrow, you know, so that we can send Christmas cards and, you know, thinking about you and your plight, what you're going through. You know, a lot of people, you know, that I miss that part of it because I still have family members who are, you know, it's lessening, you know, one comes home and the fight continues for the others, you know, that are in there. And I understand what you're saying. So is your husband, what kind of spirits, you know, is he in? What kind of, you know, what's going on? Has he talked to you about that? So I know there are times when he gets depressed. You know, I know there are times when you get depressed. So talk to me about that, Ms. Van. Like, what kind of spirit is he in right now?
So my husband, Mr. Green, is actually in good spirits. If it's days where
that he wants to talk about it, he's still, you know, they're laughing and joking, and, you know, we keep each other, you know, uplifted.
Right, because he's trying to keep you. Yeah.
The other thing is I try to keep on the jail about giving him his medications, making sure that he gets the proper care that he needs. It's more so, you know, it really took a toll on him when his grandmother passed away.
Right.
And
I remember.
The other thing was I've written I also, me and Alec had written several people. We had written No Struggle, No Success. We did the 8805. We written the courts.
Yeah. Jeanette Graham.
I've written the state's attorney's office as well because I already put in the application. That was in 2022. I get it. It was other people that's in front of him that they're trying to reopen up some cases because they see evidence that was not presented. In my case is this: I asked them and the judge, because the judge who my husband went in front of, he retired, and when I was writing him a letter way before he retired. My question to him was, how was you able to make decisions with an aneurysm on your brain? I forget, and I had aneurysm. I had meningitis on my brain. It's no way that half the time that you can remember of how did you feel with a person standing in front of you and you was able to give them time. It's no way that you gave my husband time for a young man. A witness said that when he stood up in court, it was too dark for me to see. I couldn't see who the person was, and you still gave him 20 years?
Right. Okay, so now, his total sentence was 20 years, Ms. Van?
So the entire sentence.
So does he have a mandatory
45
or no?
Wait a minute, it's hard for me to hear you.
Huh? I was asking.
It's hard for me to hear you.
It's hard for you to hear me, Ms. Fan? What's going on? Okay, so Chrissy's going to turn the fan off. Okay, so now I said, what was his total sentence? How much time was he sentenced?
45.
25 years. So how much time?
45.
45 years. Okay. So how much time has he done?
20.
20. Okay. So are you saying 25 or 45?
It's 45.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And so I was doing some reading also, and I know that the person involved in the crime that he did not commit, that person went to jail for a murder. So I'm wondering, so like, I don't want to like talk about anything that's going to like dim his chances of coming home. So I'm not even going to ask the next question I was going to ask. So you're keeping his spirits up. And so there've been a lot of Christmases and we're Christmas, holidays, we're going into a new year, 2023. And I know that will likely be a hard time for your husband. But, as you said, you both are going to keep each other encouraged. And I encourage you, so that you can, speak to him and let him know, it's almost over. My nephew would get, so upset. And he said, you know what, forget it. I'm just, and I was like, forget what? We are not going to forget. We are out here doing exactly what we're supposed to do. I remember when I first joined the PPA, that's all I talked about was my nephew coming home. I want him to come home. I want him to come home. And he just, this was his first Thanksgiving. I was like, all the holidays. This is my time of year. I'm like, Derek, this is your first Halloween in 24 years. This is your first Thanksgiving in 24 years. This is your first Christmas in 24 years. And he's going to actually be at home when 2023 comes in, likely going to be in church with his, with his dad and his mom. We have to support our loved ones. We can't go around being judgmental. That's one thing we don't do. We're not going to do that. We're not judging. We're absolutely tomorrow, we're going to show up right at Miss Van drop off and write these letters, Miss Sharon. We're going to have a good time tomorrow doing that. I'm trying to see Miss Van dropped off. So Dr. J, can you call Miss Van back? And
I think it's connections problems.
Okay, so yep, I think it's connection problems.
Can I say that
everybody? Mr. Andre has connection problems also.
It's because of the weather. Okay, we've got
Mr. Nelson's back. Okay.
A lot is due to
and Mr. Andre, good, very good. Okay. All right. So everything seems to be quiet now. Okay, and there's Miss Van. There you go. There you go. Absolutely. Okay, Miss Van, I want you, because I'm going to go to, I'm going to talk with Mr. Andre and then Mr. Nelson. But you go ahead and, talk about from a personal standpoint, being away from your husband. What's that like, especially around this time of the year?
I don't even know where to begin.
Okay.
Because I just don't know. It's emotions all over the place.
I understand.
He just had a great grandbaby, we just found out. And I think for the children, because he talked to the grands, they always say, when you coming home, or, where you at, or,
right.
Can we come and see you? And so that's the part that really bothers me a lot, because they ask, for him. And then they keep moving him from this jail to this prison, and it's just a whole lot of wrong information that they're giving and they're saying for whatever reason. So right. I think his daughter sent him a birthday card. His birthday was May 31st, and they sent it back and writ on the letter inside the card when they sent it back that he can't have it. He can only have, I think it said postcards. But now they get to the point where they don't want to send anything to them. So you can only, as far as I know, is write letters. Because now he's at the Hagerstown. But if he was still at Jessup, Jessup is the only jail in Baltimore City where they have the pilot program.
What's that?
So the pilot program is when like the inner family, like myself, the children, mom, dad, can talk to him for, I think it's 2 hours. You can come in to visit, and it's just, or the people that's out there don't live in Baltimore or near him, they can stay on a screen. I think it's 2 hours. So if you look it up, you'll see with the pilot program.
Only on holidays or just any day? Is that any day?
It's just any day. Yeah,
wow.
Just any day.
Well, that's going to be a good thing, you know, because all these holidays are coming up. Christmas is coming up on Sunday. But I know you and Duryea have this special thing going. You talk like almost, you know, at several points during the day. Yeah, exactly. That's Mr. Andre probably coming back. I'm going to talk with Mr. Nelson. Okay, so talk about Mr. Nelson, how important it is. You're going to tell us a little bit about these prisoners of war, you know, that we're going to be writing to tomorrow. Alex Saab, and go ahead, talk to us about that. I don't think he can hear me. I don't think he can. Mr. Andre, can you hear me?
So when you say prisoners of war,
okay,
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
I don't see Andre.
There's Mr. Andre right there.
It's hard to see on the phone. So if you're on the phone,
okay. He's waving.
We're all here.
He's waving to, yep, we're here. Miss Sharon's here. Mr. Andre's here. Miss Van probably put us on hold to talk to her.
I don't see Andre.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. What's the other prisoner of war that you mentioned?
Me?
Yes.
Mamiya. He was talking about Mamiya.
Mamiya. Okay, so tell us about what's going on with why is he, you know, a prisoner of war? What happened? Okay, so I'm good.
You know what? It's hard. It's when people are on phones, the connections.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Andre.
Maybe Andre could talk about Mamiya.
Yeah, Mr. Andre, talk about Mamiya, the prisoner of war. Talk about that. Why is he a prisoner of war? Tell me. I need to know more about that.
Mamiya Abu Jamal is one of the longest standing prisoners in the United States, just like Leonard Peltier. Mm-hmm. And Mamiya as a teenager joined the Black Panther Party up in Philadelphia, and he has been a radio personality for many, many years. He at one point was the president of the National Black Journal Association. Mm-hmm. Mamiya was framed for the murder of police officer Daniel Faulkner in Philadelphia. His trial was tainted with, connections between the judge and the police department. The judge that did his case, that heard his case, Judge Albert Sabo, actually was a member of the Fraternal Order of Police. He really should have recused himself from this case.
Yes.
And here, a man being charged with killing the police. There's all kinds of prosecutorial misconduct, so much evidence that was withheld. And currently, right now, there are, I think it was at least 2 boxes of evidence in the storage room somewhere in Philadelphia that the police had, and they never turned it over to Mamiya's defense lawyers.
Wow.
So there was a hearing Friday concerning making motions for a new trial based on this evidence being withheld for 20, 30 some years while Mamiya's been in jail. That hearing, something was supposed to expire, but the judge granted another 60 to 90 days to give Mamiya's lawyers time to continue to try to get access to this evidence. Right.
So what do you think about what do you think are his chances? How old is he? Is that the prisoner that we should be concerned about, the age, and how old is he?
Mamiya and I are the same age, 68 years old. He may be 69 by now. He has had within the past 10 years, about hepatitis C that really was very debilitating for him. And it took a struggle of the people, a fight to get access, to get Mamiya to have access to the new treatment for hepatitis C that's come out maybe 5 years or so. they were going to deny Mumia the right to it, but not only were they denying Mumia the right to this cure medicine, which is a cure for, which actually does cure hepatitis C after about 13 weeks, they denied it to all of the inmate population in the state of Pennsylvania. I mean, to me, that's just an act of genocide. They've got this medicine here, a treatment after so many years for hepatitis C. Unfortunately, it didn't come in time for my deceased boyfriend, who also died from hepatitis C. But so many people now have the ability to get this treatment, and it actually cures hepatitis C. And that's a tremendously big breakthrough for the medical community to actually cure a disease caused by a virus.
Right. So Hep C
so we continue to rally and support Mumia.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
is so Hep C
you were
is
asking
more,
a question.
you know that. Right.
I'm not getting the.
So it's like it's going in and out. And I just said that I did not know that Hep C was morbid. I really didn't.
Yes. Oh yeah. It was no cure for hepatitis C, and it just is the. And so I mean thousands, tens of thousands.
Now it is. Now
C.
there's a cure, right?
And now the cure.
Okay.
Their pills, I think they take for 13 weeks.
It controls it, actually.
It the liver rebuilds itself back up.
Exactly.
At least the building is a cure.
Right. I think somebody was asking you a question, Ms. Van. They were asking, when do you get to have in-person visits with your husband? Oh, and Mr. Nelson's on the phone. We'll also unmute your mic, Ms. Van. I can't.
Right now.
Okay,
somebody
go ahead.
took it off.
Go ahead.
So
no,
now I can go.
You're good now.
So now I can go and see him, but he has to put it in. So now we just see each other every Friday on virtual. So we get to stay on there for an hour and a half. Because like the other people that see their loved ones, they can only stay on there for 30 minutes. So they give the husband and wife an hour and a half to stay on. And so I think I have to get vaccinated to go see him. I'm not sure now because of they're saying COVID is over, but I have to ask him again. I told him that I would come and see him after the new year, you know, like maybe February, if it's not bad weather, to come and see him. But the kids want to see him. We want to take the grandkids more so to go see him.
Okay. All righty. Okay. Gary Nelson said, I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. This platform is unstable. The platform isn't unstable, Mr. Nelson. Yeah. What'd you say, Ms. Sharon?
It's a phone connections because Andre dropped off too. It's
right. See, Mr. Nelson, the platform isn't unstable. It's the phone
it's
connection.
Not, you know, it's not. It's part of. Also, today has been
the weather.
Difficult for whatever reasons. Comcast has been.
Yep, Comcast
has gone down because there's a cold front coming in, and you all know about the bad weather. And
right. Exactly.
Comcast lost.
Usually we don't have that many.
The electric went down too. I don't know if you all knew that today, but PG&E went down, and then I don't want to get into it, but it was a bit of
one of those days, huh, Miss Sharon?
Yeah, one of those days.
One of those days. I know that's right, but that's okay because we're gonna keep moving forward. I'm gonna say it one more time. I'll probably say it again before we get off, because in about 2 minutes we're gonna talk about food deserts in our protest on Saturday. So tomorrow, join us. Writing to political prisoners and other loved ones behind bars, Wednesday, December 21st, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Harriet Tubman Solidarity Center, 2011 North Charles Street. We're starting at 6 p.m., going to 8 p.m., guys. Come on out, get some good food, fellowship with us, and bring your loved ones information. I'm going to go and get some Christmas cards, and we're going to send out some cards. We're going to write some letters. We're going to have a good time. Fellowship, food, fun tomorrow. We have to absolutely let our loved ones know, prisoners of war, that we absolutely, we're sending our love, we're sending our support. And that's what's going to go down tomorrow. Make sure you're there, okay? If you're uncomfortable, wear your mask. We'll be good. We'll be good. Everybody, like at your level, whatever you're thinking, do I need a mask? If you think you need a mask, you need one. Just come on out to tomorrow, okay? Yep, because we're going to start talking about these food deserts. We're going to switch. Go ahead, Miss Sharon. Go ahead. Say something.
Bring cookies.
Bring cookies.
I'm the cookie monster. I love cookies.
Okay. All righty. We can do that, Miss Sharon.
I'm joking.
Oh my goodness. All those cookies we had on Saturday, Miss Man. Yep, I'll get some more cookies, and we'll just be doing this letter writing campaign. It is very, very important. It is Christmas time. A lot of times when people are locked up, like the family, is on their mind all the time, especially if you're married, you're thinking about your spouse and how they're coping. And a lot of times, Ms. Van talked about that anxiety. I had less anxiety, but every year when my nephew was locked up, I would always wonder, like, is he okay? And way back in the day, Miss Van, you're a lot younger than me, but I know Miss Sharon and Mr. Andre remembers we could take food and go to Jessup. We could have like picnics. Remember that? You remember that? We could have a picnic. Like we used to take pizza and all that stuff. My brother, Jerry, rest his soul, he was locked up in Jessup. And I can remember going there on Sundays, and we would take pizza and all this food. He would be like right there with us. But because of all this, the drugs in the jails, and I don't think the prisoners are bringing it in now. I think it's somebody else, but we're not going there. We're not even going to go with Mr. Andre shaking his head like, you already. Absolutely. Yeah. So
I'm not going to comment. But one thing I just want to say real quick. So I see on the television now, the news, they're saying that the guy got sentenced for 50 years. And I was like, really?
Who?
Marilyn Mosley won that one. She fought for that one.
So who got sentenced to 50 years?
Keith Jones.
Huh?
Keith Davis. That's his name. Keith Davis.
Really?
I was reading this thing. Yeah, Keith Davis got sentenced to 50 years.
Wow.
They already had a retrial. Well, I just guess.
You know what? I'm going to keep my comment to myself. 50 years. Okay, let's switch gears. Oh my goodness. Unless Ms. Sharon or Mr. Andre, you want to comment on that?
I'm not on the Keith Davis case because I haven't read up on that.
Right. Mr. Andre said, I'm not going to touch it. Absolutely.
But just, for people listening, come out because we will have information on the political prisoners that we've talked about, whether it's
absolutely
Mumia Abu-Jamal or Leonard Peltier or Alex Saab.
Yeah.
Others. So, come out and get the information.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Nelson will be there in person to talk about his son's case too. And so,
absolutely. Okay. So everybody's going to bring, Ms. Fan, you're going to bring Duryea's information and I'll come get you so that because we need to know ID numbers and addresses.
Yes.
ID numbers and addresses. Bring those things for your family members. And we're going to try to flood these the prisoners of war. We're going to, flood them with, letters of, support. Absolutely. And especially for our loved ones here, in Maryland, there's lots of folks locked up, there are lots of folks locked up and they did not commit the crime that they have been found guilty of. But, you know, we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. But right now we're going to switch gears because we have about 10 more minutes. We're going to talk about these food deserts. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Sharon. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I said 10 minutes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Doc Cheatham was going to try to be on, but as many people know, the most recent closing of a supermarket in Baltimore City is in Pigtown, creating one more neighborhood, one large neighborhood again, that's living in a food desert, meaning that there's not adequate full service grocery store in the community, which means elderly people suffer, children suffer, and the community at large does not have access, because only if you can get a car and drive out into the county or the suburban area or in some better part of Baltimore City can you actually go to a regular supermarket. So people in Pigtown have been fighting that. We had a very dynamic picket line on Saturday in front of Bryce Wright. And then out of that, people were getting in touch with us. I know I was talking to Doc Cheatham from that neighborhood, from the Matthew Henson neighborhood in West Baltimore, the Freddie Gray neighborhood. We have contacts in the Oliver Square neighborhood where Reverend Chambers is at, where they suffered a food closing. And then a Black Harvest Institute out in Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill now is also food desert.
Wow.
So I don't go into the statistics because that just is like dry to people. The point is that real people in Baltimore City cannot get access to a full service grocery store, which means they're either shuttled off to a corner store to buy very low quality food, certainly not produce, or they have to run around to markets, and people do not have the ability to do that most of the time. Absolutely. So the proposal that's sort of is on the floor, you know, not on the floor because I'm announcing it here, is that on the King holiday on the 16th, Monday, January 16th, we're proposing that these 4 and maybe even be 5 neighborhoods come together at City Hall to support the legacy of Dr. King, because we need food equity. I mean,
that's right.
It's not only a question of poor people, it's also a question of racism, that there's no equity in food deserts. You're not going to find any food deserts in the richer neighborhoods, certainly the richer white neighborhoods.
I said that.
So basically, we'll be talking a lot more about this. I know Reverend Chambers was trying to get on. I know that Doc Cheatham was trying to get on. We have a connectivity problem tonight. So I don't want to speak for everybody, but just to say that the proposal is that as communities and people working on these issues, we come together for a citywide protest on January 16th at 2 p.m. And that we get out there, because this is the best way to commemorate Dr. King. If Dr. King was alive, he wouldn't be doing all sorts of little, services about himself. He'd be out there marching, picketing, protesting, going to jail, because that's what he did in his lifetime to change the conditions that exist.
Absolutely.
So we got to do that. I mean, there's a lot going to be happening on the King holiday and the week that spread there, because there's also going to be a protest against the war that's being waged, because that's another thing that King fought around, that people aren't always aware of his legacy around the Vietnam War. So on the 13th, we're all headed to New York City to a major rally to say no to the war on Russia, Ukraine, and also sanctions on all the different countries from Cuba to Venezuela, because it's connected. All of it's connected, to support of white supremacists. So let me shut up. That's the only thing.
I'm gonna definitely
quick, long tirade.
Absolutely. It's okay, Ms. Sharon. It's okay. I want you to. But tomorrow I'm going to be definitely talking to you about the 13th. And then on the 16th, just folks, come on out tomorrow. Come on out tomorrow. We're going to have a very rich discussion and a good time writing these letters. Mr. Andre, talk about Saturday. Talk about these food deserts that what do we need? What do we need? And I ask the question all the time. Who's going to rescue us? Who's going to help us? It has to be us. But go ahead. You talk about what's going on.
You're muted, Andre.
There
this
you go.
past Saturday at the Mount Clair Shopping Center, we had a small rally, with about 8 to 12 people came out. And thank you so very much, Miss Joyce, for leading those chants. You did a terrific job.
Thank you, Mr. Andre.
Prior to that rally, Alec and I had walked around the neighborhood passing out flyers to people in the neighborhood. And they are well aware that the Price Right is closing, and they all discussed the absolute need for a new market to come in its place. What we hear is that the people that own the building, the Carlyle Group,
Yes.
I've heard that they want to open medical offices there. This is, really having people live in a food desert is a crime against humanity. Not only in Pigtown, but over, as Sharon said, in East Baltimore, over in upper parts of West Baltimore, there are no big chain name brand supermarkets. They don't want to go into the poor communities. I don't know what they're expecting the people in poor and economically disadvantaged communities to do, because they have to eat just as well. I think it's an absolute shame. From where I live, within 15 minutes driving, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 supermarkets within 15 minutes of where I live. But yet over in Pigtown, in East Baltimore, right there near Hopkins Hospital with all its money, at Church Square Shopping Center, that market has closed.
Right.
If you want to call Food Depot a market over at Bel Air and Urban Avenue, that's still open, but it's full of price gouging. They did it during the snowstorms, and now with COVID, they raised the prices again. So those markets that may be open, they are outpricing. They're price gouging, charging exorbitant rates for the food you used to be able to afford.
Right.
But it really shows the decay of the inner city. And Baltimore is not alone in this country when it comes to having food deserts. I've been to Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., many cities, and the poorest, economically disadvantaged, poor and oppressed communities, mostly in Black and Latin neighborhoods, don't have supermarkets.
Right.
As we've already stated, at Mount Clair Shopping Center, if you go 2 blocks down Pratt Street, there's a senior citizen building. If you go 4 blocks up Arlington Street to Arlington and Baltimore, there's another senior citizen building.
Absolutely.
Where are they supposed to go to get food? Are they going to take their canes? Are they going to take their walkers? Are they going to take their wheelchairs and ride halfway across the city to get to a decent supermarket?
Right.
Food is a right. People have a right not only to have food, but they have a right to have access in their own communities that they live in for food. And I'm very glad that Doc Cheatham is pulling together, has joined, pulled us in and said, "Come help build this thing for January 16th." I think it's it's a good beginning, and it's going to be the start of something good, because we stick in there and continue to struggle, we will get some kind of food stores back in these communities.
Absolutely. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right, Mr. Andre. Ms. Van, real quickly, because we have to end. What's the market on Monument Street? The one I went to?
Save a Lot.
Save a Lot. Okay. So that's within, I would say, 6 blocks of Johns Hopkins. Yeah. But a lot of people can't get there either. Like, that's okay. So I'm trying to think of all the markets that are in that area. I think it's just the Save a Lot.
Highland Market. It's Highland Market
with fresh fruit and fresh vegetables. Northeast Market on Monument Street.
No, Highland Market. Highland Market. It's on Eastern Avenue. Highland Market.
So we have Northeast and then the other one.
Highland. Talking about
Highland Market is 1 block. The Highland Town Market is 1 block 1 block west of Eastern Avenue and Conklin Street.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah,
downtown we have the new gentrified Lexington Market. We're not even going to get me started on that. And then we had Price Right at Mount Clair. So now all those folks, and that young man had a very good point on Saturday, Mr. Andre, Ms. Sharon. He said these elderly people, you know, they walk to Price Right. How are they going to walk to Food Depot? Food Depot is price gouging. Shoppers is price gouging in Mondawmin. That's all the way on the other side.
That's so far. That isn't even close.
Yeah, it's not close at all.
Not even close.
Yeah, it's not close at all. And so then we have the Giant in Edmondson Village near me. But who can afford Giant's prices? You know, you can afford it if you have a phone number to put in there. If you're, you know, like you get the discounts, and then sometimes they don't even help. Okay, guys, it is 6:56. Let's wrap it up. Let's sum it all up. Tomorrow, 6 to 8 p.m. We're going to bring some cookies for Miss Sharon. Come on out. Yes, we're going to write some. We're going to use our love language to show prisoners of war and our family members that we absolutely love and we care. And above all, we're going to hope and pray that they are released very, very soon. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Mr. Nelson, we'll see you tomorrow. Miss Van, we're going to go in car. Everybody's going to go. We're going to drive to New York. You know I'm not going to
go to New York. We're going to go to New York.
But we'll be in somebody's car, okay?
Yes.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
You'll be in my car and I won't be at the
Yes. Hey, yay. Thank you. Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Yes. Good night.
Just wanted to let you know that the host of this show appreciates the time that you've spent with them. Now, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel so you can keep up with everything that we're doing. And most of all, thank you for tuning in to What Up Baltimore online radio, where the people have the power.